MSOE fans, and welcome to the Raider Report, where we sit down with MSOE coaches to discuss all things Raider athletics, from game reactions to recruiting news and everything in between. The Raider Report has all the behind-the-scenes details and news you want. At this time, our guest is head coach of women's basketball, Hannah Trees. I am joined by head coach of women's basketball at MSOE, Hannah Trees. Coach, how are we doing?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Coach, you're now in your 5th season as head coach of the women's basketball team. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to MSOE.
So I guess in terms of career path, I actually was lucky enough to get a coaching job directly out of college. I happened to know people at Lake Forest College. There was a connection there, so I always kind of knew I wanted to coach, and I was lucky enough to be able to step in because their assistant left unexpectedly. So lucky me. And from there, I worked with Coach Tills for about 5 or 6 years. Great mentor, great friend, and she ended up having connections at MSOE. So when this job opened, she told me about it. We had played here actually before, so I had been in the facilities, and I loved the location, and a lot to do, and the facilities were great, and so it was kind of an exciting opportunity. I had always wanted to be a head coach, and this opened at a time where it made sense to move up here. And I came up and interviewed, and I got the job. And I've been here now for about 5 years, like you said, and it's been great. I've been very, very lucky to have some really good mentorship and people that have kind of helped me along the way to continue to grow as a coach, and hopefully that doesn't stop happening now that I'm a head coach. I'm still trying to learn. But yeah, I was lucky to be blessed with a lot of friends and mentors in the industry that kind of helped me get where I am.
Mm-hmm. So you've been making moves here at MSOE. I believe you're an associate athletic director now.
Yes.
I don't want to botch the title here.
Yes, that's right. No, that's right.
But that's true. You said it's your 5th season here in the basketball world.
Yes.
Do you feel like you've settled into the basketball world at least?
Yeah, I'm starting to feel that way. I do think this is one of the things that I love about coaching is that you never really can settle in because the game constantly changes, which I love. I love learning. I love going to, some of those seminars and things like that, and watching basketball constantly on TV, which I'm sure is not annoying at all for friends and family. But I love it. I love learning new things. I do feel like we have started, for our program in particular, to build a bit more of an identity. So in that way, I think we've settled in a little bit. And there have been things that, we've kind of worked towards, that we will continue to work towards. The defensive side of the ball, really hanging our hat on really solid defense. That's where we need to live. But yeah, I think, it's hard to say. I've had some help this year from Coach Wallace, which has been super great. He's done a great job, and I just think at this point I do feel a little bit more settled, but I don't know that I'll ever feel super settled with the basketball stuff. But
right. And that's the nature of the game. I mean, you have constant roster turnover, new kids coming in all the time, so that's understandable. The team is off to a hot start. You guys are sitting at 5-1. Conference play is underway. You have a game coming up against Aurora Wednesday. Did you expect this? What has kind of facilitated the team's success early on in the season?
Yeah, good question. I think that I thought we would have a better record this year because we didn't lose a ton of scoring last year. So we did graduate 3 seniors who are great leaders, and they did some really, really good things for us, but they weren't huge scorers. That was not really what their role was on the team. So we returned, I think, close to like 97% of our scoring. So I did think, in that sense, we had some people with some experience. And with the freshman class, I did feel like we got some people in that really could step in as freshmen right away and contribute significantly, which I was really pleased with. So I don't know that I was expecting 5-1, but I was expecting us to be really competitive in most games. And I feel like that's what we've done so far. They have not always been pretty, but the team has done such a great job of competing that even on games when we're not shooting well, they've leaned into the defense. They've leaned into, that communication and that experience that some of the seniors have, and they've done a great job. So all I can really ask is that we keep working hard and competing, and hopefully the results end up, on our side.
I mean, we just saw that in your last game against Marion. You guys were down the entire first half, basically, and then kind of explode in the third quarter and then take the lead and never look back. You did mention lockdown defense, and you want that to kind of come next. Just in the past couple home games, I've noticed the bench has come alive during defensive possessions. Is that like a conscious change that you implemented? Is that kind of just the team coming together and being like, we need a new way to rally? How did that come about?
Yeah, I think the team has started to buy into the defensive side of the ball more because we have had a few games where the shots have not been falling like they were at the beginning of the year. And you're going to have that, right? I mean, college basketball, this is such a long season. You are going to have times throughout the year where your percentage dips a little bit. That is normal. That's to be expected. The thing that never dips is your defensive intensity. And I think they saw that in a few of our recent games, that we maybe would not have won those if we wouldn't have locked in defensively. I can think back to the Mount Mary game. That they played fantastic. Mount Mary did great. They just made our offense, we didn't get into a rhythm, right? They're throwing a lot of defenses at us, the press, etc. And lucky for us, we bought into the defensive side of the ball when we weren't shooting well, and we held them to 37. So we were able to win that game by only scoring 47. Not a huge offensive output, but I think after seeing things like that, they've really bought into the fact that if we buy into defense, we can win a lot of games, even if we are not shooting as well as we would hope.
For sure. And you said entering the season that a big part of the key to team success would be everyone being dedicated to their role within the team, regardless of what that role might be. Really, a selfless kind brand of basketball. Can you kind of explain to maybe the more casual listener or fan, what's the difference in roles for a player like Mahima Chokshi and someone like Ella Menson?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the things that I personally love about basketball, it is a team sport through and through. You cannot do it alone, and people that maybe don't get the minutes in game don't always get the recognition that they deserve. I think Ella is a really good example of someone who came in this year with a fantastic mentality. She always works hard, and she's really taken on what we've asked her to, which is to be a leader in the post. So every single day in practice, she's working with our freshman post players. When we're not saying something to them, she's saying something to them. And she's just been great. I mean, it is hard to find somebody that every single day is going to come in and give 100% effort, and that is Ella through and through. So for her, that leadership role we asked her to step into this year, when last year none of that was expected of her. She was still, that underclassman at that point. So for her, that's been a huge step, and we wouldn't be where we are without her. Mahima, still only a sophomore, so a little less of the leadership stuff for her, but she is our starting point guard, so there is some innate leadership things that we're requesting. But for her, I think just buying into the fact that she is a scoring threat always, and that is a mindset shift for a lot of people. Even some of our freshmen coming in from high school, they weren't always asked to score or to think about scoring. So we ask people to shift the way that they play the game when they get here. Danny Mendez is a good example of that as well. She was not necessarily asked to score in high school because she was surrounded by really, really good guards. A lot of D1 guards that she played with. So they were the scoring options. She was in there for defense and rebounding, which, by the way, she still does a phenomenal job of that. But for us to be successful this year, people are going to have to buy into some of those different roles of scoring a little bit more, or at least looking to score so that you draw multiple defenders and then can kick to your teammates. We can't have anybody out there that isn't actively looking to be aggressive, because the way that we play, we want to be, pushing the ball at the basket. Everybody's a threat. And that requires people to kind of change their opinion of themselves sometimes, and they've done such a good job of kind of buying into that. I think that really has led to our success so far.
You talk about the buy-in, you talk about the leadership. This is a younger team this year for sure. You had, I believe, is it 8 freshmen?
Yes.
Join the team?
Yes.
How does your approach to practice and like the day-to-day change when it's like you have a goal, you want to win games this season, but you also have a majority of the team you just need to get ready to play college basketball at, a high level.
Right.
Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say for us that thought is called sustained effort. So one of the biggest shifts I think that happens between high school and college is that every practice matters. Every single person that you play against once you get to college basketball is talented, or else they wouldn't be here. So the importance of practice is just through the roof. The ability to be competitive in practice, so that healthy competition between teammates, but the sustained effort and focus for the hour and a half or 2 hours, or sometimes 2.5 hours. My team will play that back for me if I don't add the 2.5 hours in and be like, hey, you didn't say. So I think that sustained effort has been the biggest piece that we're trying to get the freshmen to understand, and even some of our upperclassmen. We haven't had a roster size like this in years past because we've been growing the program. So I think for a lot of the upperclassmen, this is a shift as well, because there hasn't always been that competition, just based on the fact that the numbers were what they were. This year, that's a different dynamic. So yeah, sustained effort and intensity and focus are super important. If we don't have that, then in games, we start off a little slow. So, when we don't have good practices before we play, it's hard for us to get going, and it really is. I know people say that you play like you practice, and for us, being as young as we are, that holds true. So yeah, long-winded answer. Sustained effort from everyone.
You mentioned one of the young players that has had a pretty instant impact on the team this season. Danny Mendez has come in. You said she wasn't expected to score in high school. She's shown she's pretty adept at it so far this season. Has been a force in the boards. That Mount Mary game, she was drawing double teams that seemed like triple teams even at times. Talk about what she brings to the team.
Oh, she's great. So I think first to talk about Danny, her personality and who she is as a human being adds to our team immensely. She is one of the kindest people that you will ever meet, and she truly wants what's best for the team. I have had to ask her in practice to not stop playing to help her teammates up when we're working on something, so she'll stop the drill completely and help them up off the floor. She's just an amazing human being. So I think, to me, like this year specifically, the entire group, I feel that way. But Danny just is a great person. And then I think for her, she's also a really, really hard worker. So the triple teams, making good passes out of that. She has done everything that we've asked her to. And she asks a lot of questions. So that goes into that, having 8 freshmen. I'm going to say things and it's not always going to make sense, or it's going to be different. She asks questions, and then she actively tries to fix some of the things that we ask her to. And I think even against Marion, the first couple of possessions, she missed 2 easy bunnies because she's fading away from contact. Told her in game, Danny, make sure you're going into their body because you finish really well when you have a little bit of contact there. And she just went on a tear after that. So she fixes things after you ask her to, which really as a freshman is going to be something that bodes really, really well for her moving forward and for our team, because I know that she's just going to consistently get better and better and better because she asks questions. She's super coachable, great teammate. You would want to have probably 20 Dannys on your team.
There's someone else who I'd like to highlight on the team that doesn't always fill the stat sheet, but when I watch them play, there's a certain reckless abandon and no regard for their body. Can you talk a little bit about Nicole?
Yes, I can. I knew that's who we were going to be discussing after that. Hard worker, super intense. Exactly what you say. She might not consistently score, okay, but that would be, again, leading back to that role conversation. She is not as interested in offense as she is in defense, which is a coach's dream. She loves to defend, and she does. She does a great job. She's constantly working to make it difficult for the other team in any way that she possibly can. And reckless abandon, it's a great word, a great term for her. She just works hard. I mean, again, the kind of that selfless mentality. She is that person. Nicole does a fantastic job at doing exactly what we ask her to do. Pick up the ball early, make it difficult for the other teams, shooting guards, because she has some length. She's lanky out there. And she does a great job of that. Even in our last game, I think she had 12 rebounds against Mount Mary. I mean, she just does all the little things that you want somebody to do. And that's why she's, consistently in the game. She might not be a huge offensive threat, but she does everything else so well that it's hard to not have her in.
Someone else who's not maybe a huge offensive threat, but logging a ton of minutes, Rakaya Williams. Always seems to be at the top of the box score for rebounds, even though she might not have a ton of points. Describe what she brings to the team, and has she always been tenacious down low? Because last year she was the leading rebounder. She's probably going to be the leading rebounder this year unless Danny has something to say about that.
Yes, she has always been that way. When people talk about somebody with a motor, that is Rakaya. She does not stop ever. She is always working hard in practice. You should see some of the rebounds that she tries to get in practice. Don't hurt yourself. Because she does not stop. I think for her, something that she brings to the team as a senior, not only some leadership there of lead by example, because I really do think you're not going to meet somebody that works harder more consistently probably than her. But she also brings a really good personality to the game. So anytime something happens, she's always super hyped, even if it's for her teammates. Danny got an and one in our last game, and Rakaya is yelling and kind of getting her pumped up. So she brings so much energy to the game that almost the stats don't do
it justice.
Yeah, it doesn't. There is no way to describe really what she brings in terms of energy, enthusiasm, intensity. If she's out of the game, she is our leader on the bench. She's doing a lot of jumping and shouting. I mean, she just does all of those little things like we've talked about, right? And for her, she really has an ability to score well, but we are not necessarily asking her to do that. We're asking her to go get boards, and
Sure.
She, again, is just kind of buying into that. And in years past, I know she's had a competition with some of our other players about who's going to be the leading rebounder. So I know that she takes some pride in that, and I'm sure that Danny and her will have a nice, healthy competition going throughout the season to see who can lead us in rebounds.
All the intangibles. You love to hear that. All right, I've been grilling you. I'm going to ease up a little bit.
Love
I'm just
it.
going to hit you with some rapid fire, just some fun ones.
Okay,
All right.
great.
Former basketball player yourself, what's the best basketball?
Evolution.
The Evolution?
Yeah.
Don't even have to think about it?
No, don't even have to think about it. The grip is way better. Everything about it is just better.
Okay. Favorite cartoon or cartoon character? Not sure the last time you watched, but...
Avatar: The Last Airbender
Okay.
is probably my favorite cartoon. And I
Alright.
haven't watched it in a long time, but I used to watch it when I was younger. So
For
a little
sure.
nostalgia there.
Rock on.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of that one, too.
Great.
Favorite athlete, either now or growing up?
Oh, okay. So, male athlete, I'm going to say LeBron.
Okay.
I'm a big LeBron fan.
Sure.
I know that's a controversial pick here because I'm with a Chicago person
you know what?
and a Jordan versus LeBron thing going on.
I'm young enough that it doesn't like really mean too
Okay,
much to me.
good.
I just say
I didn't
Jordan.
personally
'cause-
offend you.
Yeah, no. Like, I mean, I can recognize LeBron's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then I think female athlete, I always loved Sue Bird.
Okay.
Again,
for
somebody
sure.
who does a lot of just the intangible. I mean, my God, just a great passer, works really hard. She was a great role model. She could score, obviously, too. But yeah, loved watching her game.
What is your go-to pregame song?
Oh, dearie. I would say anything by Drake. I'm a
Okay.
Drake person.
For sure. Was
Uh-huh.
Spotify rap just happened? Are you a Spotify
Yeah,
person?
I'm not. I'm an Apple Music person.
Okay. Who was your number one artist, if you
Drake.
don't mind divulging?
It
Okay.
was Drake.
All
yeah.
right.
I think again when I was growing up in high school that Drake was the person, and so now
Sure.
it's extended on that I still
He's still at the top of the
he
game.
still pumps me up. I'm
Yeah.
still ready to go.
For sure. All right, last one. You're going to the movies. I need your full snack order. I need a snack. I need a drink. I need a candy.
I love
what
it.
Are you getting?
What a great question. Okay, so I love going to the movies first of all. So does Coach Wallace. So in
Okay.
case he ever does one of these, really grill him about his movie obsession.
Oh, that is good to know. I will.
So snack order would be a large popcorn, like the biggest one that they have, and I really pour the butter on.
Okay.
Like that buttery stuff that really isn't butter.
Yep.
I pile it on there, and
Love
it's
to hear that.
amazing. A Coke,
Okay.
just a classic Coca-Cola.
Sure.
And then I always get something sugary. So I'm a big sugar candy person.
Okay.
I like Jolly Ranchers. I like Sour Patch Kids. I like sour straws.
Okay. So more of a fruity candy, not a chocolate candy.
Yeah, I'm not into
Okay.
chocolate actually at all. I don't eat chocolate.
Same here, funny enough.
Yeah.
I'm not a really big chocolate guy. Like, I do have my little things, but yeah, always
Sure.
a fruit candy.
Yeah,
Always a
it's-
sour
I,
candy.
I just don't know what it is about it. I've never really been a huge fan. So yeah, the more sugar that it has, honestly, the better. And I would say even outside of the movie theater, I hold true to that. I like the sugar. So
For sure. All right, just a couple more for you. As a former college athlete, you said the game is constantly changing. What do you think the biggest difference is between when you played and now? Is it the game? I mean, we're seeing, bombs from deep now. It's a lot more three-point centric. Is it the AAU aspect of it and that high school doesn't matter as much? Is it the social media aspect and, like, that whole side of things?
Jeez, can I say all of them?
Yeah.
All of them? Yeah, I think the biggest thing in terms of the game, the lack of respect for the mid-range game, to me has been
That's
the
the
biggest
most coach
shift.
speak thing I have heard. The lack of respect for the mid-range game.
It's just one of these things, right? Where I'm like, it's such a good shot. It's so hard to guard. And I know the analytics tell us that it's not a good shot. My team scores a lot in the mid-range. So I still really, really love that shot. And I think that it is going to circle back. I feel like that it's coming. So everybody just,
You're ahead of the wave.
predicting it now. It's coming back. But yeah, then outside of it, I would definitely say the social media piece to me is the biggest difference. Like we had social media. I don't want to age myself too much here.
Yeah,
We
no,
had it.
yeah.
We had it. It just wasn't the tool that it is now.
It was a much more casual, personal thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Whimsical.
So yes.
And now it's
right.
yeah.
And now it's it's just
machine.
not built that way, right? There are certain purposes for using it. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just very different. And I'm not very good at social media. So to anybody listening to this, if you are a recruit and you think, man, their social media presence is bad, I'm working on it. I'm doing my best. I'm working on it. I'm getting into the whole well, I guess it's not Twitter. X. I've been actually retweeting some things.
Nice.
So we're really on the up and up there.
Not to knock you down, I think technically now it's reposting
Oh.
because of the name change.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you know
Okay,
what?
well,
You are
and
trying.
see, there you go.
Kudos to you.
My vocabulary in regards to social media is subpar, I think.
I'm just playing. For people who haven't tuned in yet, who haven't seen the team play, when they do tune in, what's the brand of basketball? What can they expect to see?
Yeah, I think for me, what I hope anyway, because it's not always going to happen, but what I hope is that they see a team that is super gritty and works hard for 40 minutes. To me, you can cover up a lot of mistakes and flaws with hard work. And that's something that we have tried to ingrain in the program, and I think we're starting to get to that point where we do kind of hang our hat on being tough and gritty and making it difficult. I want the other teams to, if they're going to beat us, you need to beat us in a way that you aren't comfortable with. So that defensive mindset consistently throughout the year being that's who we are. If we score a ton, that's great and it's super fun and we can do that. But I hope that people see a team that really buys into a team defensive concept and makes it really, really difficult for other teams to score in the ways that they want to.
For sure. And then off the court, what would you say is like the culture or vibe of your team? Do you have an easygoing group? Is it a goofy group? Are they business-like?
It is a goofy group. It's a majorly goofy group, and I love them. I just love it. This year in particular, so Rakaya has done a great job, and she really buys into the team bonding stuff. So we are still engineers. So she has a spreadsheet of all the team bonding activities, exactly what activities they're going to do, when they're going to do them throughout the season. Very official.
Wow.
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
Yeah.
But I think it's been a huge thing, honestly, because this year in particular, this has been the best chemistry that we have had since I've been here, I think. And especially having such a big group, to say that is really awesome for me to see, because I think as a college basketball player myself, the one thing that I took away was best friends. So those people that I played with are still people that are my best friends to this day. Still talk to them all the time. I hope that what we're building here is not only can you have some success on the floor, right? Because winning is also important. we're a little competitive. But I hope that what we're really building is that you're building some lifelong friendships. And I think this group in particular has done such a good job of that. And because they are a pretty goofy group, they just make everything fun. Bus rides are fun. Practices are fun. And sometimes we have to rein the focus back in a little bit because we can get a little distracted with all of our jokes, and we're having a good time. But I think that's important, because that's why you play the game, especially, I think at the Division III level, one of the awesome things about it is that you can be a really good basketball player, you can be ultra competitive, but you can also do things outside of basketball and be successful, and I think they all have kind of bought into that. So it's actually been a real joy.
And then we talked about it briefly, but the one unsung part of the team that we haven't really mentioned is your assistant coach, Da Vinci Wallace, a man who wears many hats at this university, as I have quickly discovered here. Talk about what he brings as your assistant coach and what having his support is like.
Yeah, Da Vinci is one of, if not the best human that you will meet. He is a really genuine, kind, caring soul. So I think for me, one of the things that he brings that I need, I'm a little energetic. Is that the best word for using it? I get worked up about things, right? Like I'm a little intense. He's very calm.
Sure.
And his demeanor is always like, you cannot get him to rise above a certain level.
Okay.
And for me, that's really good. because I need somebody who is going to bring me back to like more of a middle ground on some things. But also, you know, he does such a good job with almost every facet. I mean, he's been in the world of basketball for 20 years. He's a fantastic recruiter, so he helps with that, right? Like, I think part of the reason that we have such a great freshman class, we worked really hard on that together, and he does such a good job. There really isn't anything that he does not do for us as a team, and I think also for the players, he's a good sounding board, because I do think that they respect his opinion, because he doesn't always have a ton to say. So when he does say something,
it holds a little extra.
Yeah, it holds a lot of weight, and I just think, you know, you can pick up on people's energies and people, you know, kind of their vibe. And he always has been somebody from day one since I got here that has just been an amazing person. So we're lucky to have him on staff. I'm lucky that he's a friend as well. Yeah, there's nothing bad to say about Coach Wallace.
And how could you? Coach, I want to thank you for your time today, sitting down and talking to me. My last question is, how can people support Raider basketball?
Yeah, good question. I think there's some different things, right? We love having people come in person and watch the games. That's huge. So our facilities are fantastic. I hope that people come and watch in person, because that energy build for being kind of that home atmosphere is huge. I also think this year, you know, we're starting to do some things as a program, going on a trip this year to California. We're trying to make sure that we're building, again, some of those lifelong memories, things that you're going to take with you forever. So I think one way to really help in that, if you love the women's basketball program, we are going to be running a fundraising campaign on Giving Day. That's in April. So that always is a good way to support, because it does allow us to take these really fun trips that hopefully are, again, just those lifelong memories that people have once they leave here.
You heard it here first. Women's basketball head coach Hannah Trees. Thank you again, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Raider Report, and thank you to Coach Trees for taking the time to talk to us. You can follow Raider Athletics on YouTube at MSOE Raider Athletics, and you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MSOE_Raiders. Don't forget to find us on Spotify too. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, repost, share, and get the word out to all your Raider friends and family. We want you to be heard. Mention us on social media and tell us what you want to hear about. Go Raiders!